Welcome to part 2 of the Dell XPS M1210 saga. As you can see here on the right, the replacement screen and palm rest have arrived. Today's date is Sunday, April 17th. We're going to be replacing the LCD panel and, of course, replacing the palm rest with the broken trackpad button. I don't think this video needs an introduction, so let's cut to the chase. So let's start by opening this top box here. And this should be the screen because it says fragile, handle with care, so I'm assuming this will be our replacement LCD panel. Just be careful not to cut it here. And it looks like this is, I can't tell, looks like the LCD panel, but I can't really tell. Let me cut the tape here. Just got to be very careful here because if this is the LCD panel, we don't want to damage it, of course. So, and as of the recording of this video, I've just returned from Rochester, New York, for my grandmother's funeral. So, again, this series is dedicated in memory of Dolores Lux Kleinberg, as I stated in the previous video. So, yep. So here we go. Let's see, I think this is the LCD. Yep, it is the LCD panel, I can tell. I can tell. I'm going to be very careful unwrapping it here. Don't want to crack it, so I'm just going to carefully unpack this. And this will be the first thing we replace. And there we go. Alright, so we'll set this box to the side. Set this to the side, set the palm rest box to the side, and there we go. Make sure it's in the camera, because last video I did a terrible job with the camera work, as I always do. You know me too well. Anyways, go ahead and open up our LCD panel here. Now I do have a bit of a concern. This LCD panel is not a Samsung, it's an aftermarket panel, but it might be compatible, but there it is. We'll remove the protective film before installing the bezel. Let me just take this tape off. And let me grab my screwdriver. I've already opened up the display housing and unscrewed the old panel. So here's what we're going to do. I'm get the best angle I possibly can here. Just kind of carefully, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good angle on this, but we have a cable here that has a tab that we simply pull up on, and then to disconnect, actually, wait a minute, I think there's, how many cables connect to the screen? Just one, okay. Actually, this is not the right cable, never mind. I thought that was going to the LCD, that's to the inverter. Okay, this is the cable we're worried about here. So this is the cable we want to remove, just like that. I believe there's one more cable. Nope. No, never mind. There is another cable that connects to the... Oh, I did have to remove that cable. Duh! I didn't realize the inverter was part of the LCD. Okay, there we go. There's the cracked LCD panel. We're going to set that to the side. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Don't listen to Ben. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Anyways. Okay, so this one doesn't come with an inverter. Okay, so we do need to get it. We do need to pull the inverter board from this old display. Let's see how it's held in. So first things first, this panel we don't care if it breaks because it's already broken. So looks like there's two screws we have to remove down here. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. There's one. Is there another one? Oh yeah, there is, behind the inverter cable. So we'll go ahead and unscrew that. There we go. Put the screw to the side. Set the broken LCD panel over here. Flip this over and we'll plug, I believe, let's just get it lined up. So this has to, the part with the port has to plug in over here. So that means this inverter board, now here's the thing. No, never mind. I see the screws. I see the screw holes. I pull this back a little bit now. There's only one screw hole. Unless, well, let's see. Pull this back a little bit. Yeah, there's two screw holes. Okay, good. Good. All right. So this, I believe, needs to go. Oop. Like, cause that, yeah, no, there's no other way it can go. So that's got to go like that. So this has got to attach down here, like this. But the question is, where do these things? I hope they didn't send me the wrong screen. Ah, jeez. No, this is not lining up. I think this is the wrong screen. Hold on. I think they sent me the wrong screen. No, dimensions match. Let's see. Let me see what happens. Let me see. How does this one attach? See, I see this one. They're raised, but on the new screen. So I may just have to install the inverter loosely or put one screw in, because these are not raised like it was on the other one. So I think I'm just going to have to let the inverter board hang. But see, there's always a problem when I'm rebuilding a laptop or building a desktop. There's always a damn problem. And I never understand why. But whatever. Alright, so at least we can plug in the cable. Let's see. Yeah, there's no way. This has got to attach somehow, but yeah, it's not. The screw holes, I don't think this is the right display. It might not be. I just hope this thing is compatible, but let's see. I would like to loosely assemble this computer before plugging it back in just to make sure. So let's go ahead and see if we can't plug in the LCD screen ribbon cable here. Just going to go ahead and line it up with the connector. Just push it in. Just got to be careful not to damage this LCD panel. So I believe, yeah, this is the... Oh, and we need to install the LCD guide rails as well. So it goes this way. So in this clip, you basically see me messing around trying to get the LCD panel in. It kind of took some fiddling around just because of how this LCD panel is a little bit different, but basically this is just the first part. Another fast forward will be coming up soon, so stay tuned. So I've got the screws out. So I just need to find one screw. Hold on one second. Okay, I found the missing screw. So now, let's put, and just like before here, you just see me messing around, making sure the LCD panel is properly seated, you know, just putting the screws back in, making sure. It was a bit of a pain because, of course, I didn't take a picture before I did this, so I had to sort of use trial and error to figure out, you know, how this went in. Took the film off. The inverter assembly didn't really fit. I couldn't screw it in like I used to be able to, like I was able to before, because the screen was a little bit different. The screw hole positions were different, but you'll probably see more of that in the upcoming clips. But yeah, and you'll probably see more fast-forwarded clips. I'm still editing this. Okay, I think I got it this time. So let's go ahead and put the screws back in. I really hope this display works. If they sent me the wrong display, and all this time just went to waste, I will be so frustrated. And of course, here's me putting all the screws back in, making sure that the LCD is properly secured. I don't think I did this right the first time, and you'll see me do it off camera, but yeah. And I'm going to leave the bezel detached. Oh wait, no, it's up here. Whoops. Wrong screw hole. Yeah, I'm going to leave the bezel detached for the time being. So this screen is garbage, so we can put that in the trash pile. I really want to do a test boot and just make sure that this LCD panel is going to work. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get the shell of the laptop over here, and I'm going to plug in the LCD here. And I'm just going to... Who could that be? Someone's at the door. Hold on. Sorry about that, folks. That was my neighbor. I left some laundry in the dryer. Whoops. Stupid me. Okay, so anyways, yeah, so I want to do a test boot of this and just make sure this thing's actually going to power up. So here's what we're going to do. Here is the button board, the button PCB. we're going to plug this in temporarily like this. And I just want to see if the new screen, if this new LCD works. I'm basically praying at this point. So I'm going to plug in the power and push the button. I can never remember which one was the power button. Oh, wait, that's right. I unplugged it. Whoops. Forgot it would help if I actually plugged in the other end of the power cable. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. I believe that's the power button there. Yes, it is. Come on. Will it work? Yay! Hey! Where are you at? Where are you at? Look at that. I know that rhymes. But the screen transplant was successful. It frickin' works. Look at that, son. All right. Holy crap, you have no idea how relieved I am that that frickin' worked. When that inverter board didn't quite fit, I'm like, great. This is probably the wrong LCD. Holy shoot. Okay, sorry, trying to watch my language. All right. I am so glad. I am so glad that that worked. Thank the Lord in heaven. Okay. Well, we need to unbox the palm rest, but yes, that is a good sign that that actually worked. All right, so I've went ahead and shut it down. The new screen is definitely compatible, so that means we can put the bezel back on. But first, we have to do the palm rest. So let me unbox that. You guys have seen me unbox stuff, so I think I'll wait. I think we'll be okay there. So let me get the palm rest out of its box, and we'll continue reassembling this thing. Okay, got the new palm rest out, so let's go ahead and put her in. But first, we have some business to conduct. We first need to put the wires for the wireless antennas and the 4G LT, or 4G, Jesus, what am I thinking? 4G and 06? I must be out of my mind. No, the mobile broadband, that's what I meant to say. So there we go, feed those wires through, and now we can put our palm rest in place. Now I just want to make sure, do we have to put the, oh, we already put the board in place. Duh, okay, I'm an idiot, okay. So these are for the LCD panel, so let me grab my container of screws here, and let's start putting stuff back in. Now, I don't remember where all the screws go, but I think we can wing it a little bit, don't you? Okay, so that goes there. So this goes here, and if we run into any snags, we know. And if I run into any snags, well, you'll know. You'll have me to thank. Okay, I honestly don't remember where any of these screws go. I probably should have labeled them. Now, shouldn't I have? No, those are the back screws. Okay, those are the back screws. I know that. Those go in the back. I think these longer ones go here. Basically, I'll make the screws a time lapse. I'll just do a time lapse footage of me putting the screws back in because it's just going to be trial and error of me trying to figure out which screws go where. Okay, so that one goes there. So yeah, commence time lapse. Goes in there. Okay, so the button assembly is back in place. So, oh yeah, and you might hear squeals. That's just me talking to myself because it helps me when I'm reassembling a laptop. So, just FYI. So for this last clip here, it's basically just me reassembling the laptop, and basically you'll realize I'll just spoil it right here. There were a few things I did wrong while attempting to reassemble it, and this is why you should always take pictures before you disassemble a laptop. Of course, I was sort of in a rush because it was a night before a really busy project at work, or really project at work, a very of the utmost importance and urgency. So really, I was just trying to get this thing reassembled and get to bed on time because I had to be at work at 5:15 the next morning. Yeah, I know, sometimes you got to start real early. Just recently, I had to be at work at 6:30, yesterday as of the day of this recording, May 15th. But basically, yeah, this is just me putting the laptop back together. I decided the original audio was just kind of stupid. I was just talking to myself because I do that when I work on laptops. So basically I made some mistakes here and there. But basically, the whole project turned out pretty well, as you'll see in the next clip. This is my first time doing voiceovers in iMovie, so just playing around with some new features, polishing up on my editing skills, trying to become more proficient. I probably will never be a James Rolfe editor. There's a shot of my ass, and that's pretty funny. But anyways, on with the video. Alright, so I finally got the Dell XPS M1210 fully reassembled with the new LCD and the new palm rest. So we now have a fully reassembled computer here. So now we're going to boot it up. I've got it plugged in already. We're going to go into the BIOS and we're going to take a look at this. Alright, so might be wise that the screen is kind of dim. So maybe, let me do this. First, let me adjust the camera. Should probably adjust the viewing angle here so you guys can actually see what's on the screen. And if you're wondering why I didn't show the rest of the reassembly, well, it's because guess who forgot to hit the record button on the camera? Who thought his camera was recording when it really wasn't? Yep, I have a bad habit of doing that. I never said I was a professional videographer, but you know me. I mean, I do YouTube videos for fun. I mean, I do get emails. In fact, just recently I got an email from someone saying, hey, we'd like you to play our game on YouTube. But honestly, I really don't do YouTube for the money. I do YouTube as long as I can make content that my viewers will enjoy. And, about computers, anything technology, anything, video games. As long as you enjoy my content, that's what makes me happy. I don't care how much money I make on YouTube. I do it for fun. Maybe one day I might try to grow my channel a little bit more, but for right now, I'm doing this just for fun. Just a disclaimer. But yeah, feel free to post comments. I love to hear from you guys, what your thoughts and ideas are. I love to hear feedback on my videos, so, I know what a lot of people are going to tell me in the comments for this video, get a new camera. And to that I say, you are correct. But right now, I can't afford a new camera. So, anyways, enough chit-chat. Let's get into the computer. So, I've reassembled the Dell XPS M1210, fully functional. I've tested the screen, obviously, which works fine. I also need to test the touchpad, but let's see. So we probably want to update the BIOS. The next thing I'll probably do is upgrade that Core Duo processor to a Core 2 chip, because here's the interesting thing about the Yona architecture. That's the code name for the Core Duo and Core Solo Socket T CPUs. The interesting thing about Socket T is that unlike most sockets, it's a unique socket in which you can upgrade from a 32-bit, an IA32 CPU, to a 64-bit CPU. What do I mean by that? Well, you can go from a Core Duo or a Core 2 or a Core Solo to a Core 2 chip, which allows you to install 64-bit software on the computer. Now, because we have a mechanical hard drive as sort of a makeshift solution, and I don't yet have an SSD that's compatible with this computer yet, I'm going to go ahead and install a copy of, drum roll please, Vista Home. Well, I'm not going to install Home Basic. You'll see why I'm using a Home Basic disk, what the beauty of Vista's installer is like in just a moment. But I'm going to be installing a copy of Vista Business because I have a million Vista Business license keys that I haven't used, and I figured, why the hell not? This computer has the Vista capable sticker on it. So, and it's got a true dual-core CPU, Core Duo 1.66 gigahertz, gigabyte of RAM, which is the Vista recommended requirement, which is the required amount of RAM for Windows 7, although unofficially, both Vista and Windows 7 can be installed, well, Vista officially, because Vista officially requires 512 megabytes of RAM, but even Windows 7, despite officially requiring 1 gigabyte of RAM, Microsoft never changed the installer to check whether you have a gigabyte of RAM or not. It only checks to see if you had 512. So if your computer meets Vista's requirements, it meets 7's requirements. The battery did charge amazingly, so at some point I may actually unplug this thing and see how long that battery actually lasts, because it's showing the battery in good health here. So Make sure the date and time's right. Oh, it thinks it's 2009. Let's fix that. Let's bump it up to the current year. The time is correct, so we'll leave that. Oops. Let's not go too far into the future there. All right. So I've got the BIOS configured correctly. I actually could use this Vista Home Basic product key, but honestly, for a premium ready PC like this, I'd rather go with, a premium edition of Vista. So for this, we'll be using this lovely RTM Vista Home Basic 32-bit disc. Yeah, I know I could use my Vista Business Service Pack 2 disc here, my totally legit disc that I've had since the late 2000s, but honestly, I think I'd rather go with official installation media, only because this is a video and, why the hell not? Anyways, let's exit setup here. We're going to not boot into Windows 10. And actually, I forgot, this computer, I forgot the boot order. Should have changed the boot order, but that's okay, because we can just go to the boot menu here. We can select our CD or DVD drive here. As you saw in the previous video, this DVD drive does work, thankfully. That's one component for this laptop on this laptop that actually worked. So we'll press any key to boot off the DVD. And there we go. Windows is loading files. Yeah, I installed Vista in a virtual machine today. I used one of my Home Basic license keys because I had like 3 or 4 of them. So I thought it'd work. I'm just like, screw it. I'll just make a VM with Home Basic. Interesting thing though, if you install Vista in a virtual machine, at least if you're using VirtualBox, I know VMware dropped support for Vista, so you cannot install the whatever VMware calls the equivalent of guest editions in Vista anymore. And even though VirtualBox Oracle officially lists Vista as a supported OS for guest editions, if you're using a 64-bit version like I was, for whatever reason, the install will fail when you go to install guest editions because of driver signature issues. And for those who don't know, 64-bit versions of Vista and 7 require that drivers be digitally signed, or it will not allow the installation of them. Well, it just so happens that I was able to install the guest editions under Vista for Vista using, or I was unable to install guest editions using the latest version, but I think 6.1.0 of guest editions was the package I chose to install guest editions, and that actually worked. I ran the 64-bit installer, and it actually worked. But here's the interesting thing. When I ran the WinSat formal command, which for those who don't know, WinSat formal is how you run the Windows Experience Index through the command line, it threw an error. It threw a bunch of errors, and the assessment test failed. Even when doing it through the GUI, the same thing happened. So I don't think Vista is officially compatible with VirtualBox anymore. I mean, it used to be, but not so much anymore. Anyways, here we go. We've got our lovely Vista screen, and my dinner is just about ready, but you know what? It can wait a few minutes. So here we go. We'll choose English. We don't like we had other options. We'll put Hebrew Israel right now. I'm kidding. That's just for, unfortunately, I don't have any other, only Windows Vista Ultimate allows for language pack installations. I honestly don't know why they didn't allow that for the business edition, because even Windows XP, as long as you had XP Professional, you could switch between different languages for your operating system. Oh, I forgot to reply to my client. Let me do that for just 1 second. And then I will get the product key. Yes. There we go. Okay, client is taken care of. Now, let's get a product key. So, let me go through the list here. That one I'm saving for my UMPC. There's Home Premium, but that's in use, so we won't be using that. That's Windows 7. Windows 7. That is... Oh, actually, Actually, change of plans. You know what? I just found a key for Vista Home Premium that I don't believe I've used before. And there's my dinner, so give me 1 second while I get my dinner out of the oven. But fear not, it will not interrupt the video. I just have to quickly pull this tray out of the oven. And there we go. I shall eat my dinner as soon as I finish recording this clip. Anyways. Let me see if I want to see if this Home Premium key works. So I'm going to pause the video here and we'll see if this works. 1 second. All right, product key worked. Excellent. So now let's you and I do something I've never done before on this channel and read the end user license agreement in its entirety. These license terms are an agreement between you and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Never mind. I accept. Of course I accept. Custom installation. We've got Windows 10 on there currently, but it's a really old build of it. So we're going to just wipe that out. I don't think I had any important data. Again, the hard drive in here was from a Dell Inspiron E1505 computer, 60 gigabytes. And honestly, Windows 10 ate most of the space on that drive pretty quickly. So I think Vista is a better choice because the hard drive in this computer is period correct for Vista. And for those who don't know, the product key I used actually, I decided to do a slight change of plans. When I was going through my phone, which has a bunch of pictures of Microsoft's Certificate of Authenticities containing product keys for Windows 7 and Windows Vista, I came across one for Vista Home Premium. And this being a Media Center laptop that originally came with Windows XP Media Center Edition, I decided to do Vista Home Premium. But Ben, Windows Vista Business is a higher edition of Windows Vista than Home Premium. Why the hell are you installing Windows Vista Home Premium when it's a lower edition? You won't be able to join a domain. Well, for one thing, my DC isn't set up yet because I'm doing a clean install of Server 2K22 on it. So that will be for a future video. Spoiler alert. But there's a reason why I chose Home Premium, again, this being a Media Center laptop. You see, Vista was very quirky and peculiar and very whimsical, is the right word I should use, when it came to its additions. Let's talk about this while we wait for Windows to install here. So Vista had 6 additions. There was Starter, Home Basic, Home Premium, Business, Ultimate, and Enterprise. 6 editions. Now, here's the thing. Honestly, Starter was only available in developing markets, and Enterprise was only available to volume license customers. But here's the thing. The editions followed a linear pattern up to the Business Edition. Home Basic was the most stripped, Starter was obviously the most stripped down. It was very similar to XP Starter Edition, which only let you run 3 programs at a time and didn't, most of the user accounts were disabled, or you couldn't create new you couldn't have multiple users, stuff like that. Home Basic removed the 3 program limit, but did not have features like Windows Aero or Media Center or the ability to create high-definition videos in Windows Movie Maker. Home Premium added Aero and the ability to make high-definition movies in Movie Maker and Windows Media Center, but let's stop right there. Windows Media Center. If you remember, Windows XP had a specific edition that contained Media Center. It was called Windows XP Media Center Edition. Vista was the first operating system where Media Center was included with multiple editions of the operating system. So now let me say the editions that included Media Center, and you tell me what's wrong with this picture. Remember, the hierarchy goes Starter, Home Basic, Home Premium, Business, Ultimate, Enterprise. So now, with that in mind, let me say which editions of Vista included Media Center, and you tell me what's wrong with this picture. Home Premium included Media Center, Ultimate included Media Center, and Enterprise included Media Center. I believe Enterprise did. I could be wrong on that, but I will look it up. I think it did though, because Enterprise is pretty much just Ultimate, but only available to volume licensed customers. But now wait a minute. With Windows 7, Home Premium had Media Center, Professional had Media Center, which was above Home Premium, Ultimate had Media Center, which was above Professional and Home Premium, and Enterprise had Media Center. What about Vista? Does Business Edition include Media Center? The answer that you're looking for is no, it does not. Now you're probably thinking, well, why did they do that? Business is technically a higher edition of Windows, a higher edition of Vista than Home Premium and Home Basic. So why the heck why the hell does it not include Media Center? Well, the editions were confusing enough with Vista. I mean, having 6 editions, you had 2 home editions and 2 professional editions. So it's like, I think personally one of the reasons Vista didn't get good reception was because of how many editions it had. And, plus there was like, too much too soon in terms of hardware requirements and whatnot, and program and driver incompatibilities. But one of the things I never understood what they did with Vista, because at least with XP, if you went to your local computer shop, you went to Best Buy, Circuit City, CompUSA, and you wanted to buy Windows XP, you had a choice of 2 editions, Home Edition and Professional. If you were a home user, you bought Home Edition. If you were a business, you bought Professional. But with Vista, you had Home Basic and Home Premium, so that's 2 home editions. You had Business and you had Ultimate. You had 2 professional editions, so to speak. So people were confused and they're thinking, okay, well, they're thinking, which edition do I buy? And so there was a lot of confusion, and I think there was even an email from Dell that was sent to Microsoft back in like 2005, a year before Vista was officially released to OEMs. And and they said, we like what we see here, but the problem is, there's so many different SKUs, and it's going to confuse the hell out of the consumers. They're going to be like, which edition do I buy? There's too many choices here. And imagine this, if they had offered Starter in the US as an Enterprise, imagine if those were available at retail. Yeah, that would have, oh man. Even Windows 7, I think, had too many editions. Because even Windows 7, a lot of people think there was no Home Basic edition of Windows 7, but there actually was. In fact, I made a video about it. It's called Dell Mini 9 Tinkering, where I install Home Basic on a netbook. So go check that. I would highly recommend checking that video out if you haven't seen it already. But the difference was, unlike Vista, Windows 7 only had 3 editions available in the US for retail sale. Home Premium, Professional, and Ultimate. Now you still had 2 business editions, and I realized that Ultimate was aimed at enthusiasts like me, of course, but here's the thing. It's still too much. That's one thing I'll give Windows 8 and Windows 10 credit for, and even Windows 11, is that you only have 2 main editions that you can buy on store shelves, Home and Pro. So, at least they're keeping it simple. But still, with Vista, you had 4 editions to choose from. And another fun fact about Vista was in 2008, 2 years after Vista came out, Microsoft did an experiment called the Mojave experiment, in which they took people from out in California, I think it was in San Francisco if I remember correctly, and they said, okay, we're going to show you the next version of Windows. At that point they already had Windows 7 in mind, but they said the next version of Windows is going to be called Windows Mojave, not to be confused with Mac OS Mojave. And basically the only thing they changed was down here. They changed it to say Windows Mojave instead of Windows Vista. And they just had users take it for a spin and just see what they liked, what they didn't like. And but before they did that, they asked them, they said, what do you think about Windows Vista? And through word of mouth, and what's the word I'm looking for? Groupthink. They said, oh, Vista sucks, it's the worst operating system ever, it tops Windows Me, blah, 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 blah. And then that's when Microsoft said, okay, we're going to show you Windows Mojave, and you tell us what you think. So they did. And people were like, wow, this is the best OS since Windows 95. And then Microsoft broke the news to them and said, well, guess what? This really wasn't Windows Mojave. This was just Vista branded as Windows Mojave. And people were like, that was Vista? And to be honest, in my experience, I know I've told this story on this channel a lot. In my experience with Vista, I've never really had a problem with it. I'm just speaking from the heart here. I have never really had a problem with Vista. I have not had a problem with it. In all my years of using Vista, I never really had a problem with Vista. So, you know, I didn't have a lot of crashes, I didn't have instability, I didn't really have program compatibility issues. Most of my XP programs and games ran fine on Vista. So, to be honest, I like Vista. I think Vista was one of the best Microsoft OSs ever created. Shoot me, stab me, fight me in the streets, take me to the hospital. But honestly, I stand up for Vista. And to be honest, I believe that if Microsoft had waited another year to release Vista, it probably would have had better reception from consumers, to be honest. Because it was released in 2006, late 2006. And back then, the standard computer came with the desktops usually came with a Pentium 4 or a Pentium D if you shelled out the extra money. You know, or you had, for laptops, you had a Pentium M or a Celeron or something like that. And the problem was those were single-core 32-bit processors. Most computers only came with 256 or 512 megs standard. If you wanted a gigabyte back then, you had to pay out the you-know-where for it. And on top of that, hard drives, most computers came with 40 or 60 gig drives. If you wanted an 80 or at least or 100 gigs a day of disk space, yeah, you had to pay out the you-know-where for that. So the problem with Vista is it was too much too soon. And like I said, I think if Microsoft had waited a year to release Vista, despite the fact that everyone was saying, you know, XP's been out for 6 years now, where's the next version of Windows? I think it would have been a much more successful product, to be honest. I really do. But you can't whitewash history. Anyways, this screen, and I've explained this before, but this screen is unique to Windows Vista RTM because you'll notice it has the Vista logo up here, and the text is different too. This says, "Please wait a moment while Windows prepares to start for the first time." If this were Vista Service Pack 1 or later, it would say something like, I think it said, "Please wait while Windows sets up your computer," I believe. But because this is one thing I love about this is one reason I love installing Vista RTM, is because you get to see the differences that between an RTM Vista installation and a Service Pack 1 or Service Pack 2 Vista installation. Another thing I forgot to mention that I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video was when the background appears here, the Aurora background, you'll notice something different about it when you compare it to the Windows Vista. Okay, see this? In Windows Vista Service Pack 1, you'd see a line going here, and you see more bars down here at the bottom of the Aurora picture. I call this Crystal Bean Vista. Don't ask why, I just called it that as a kid. Because I thought it looked like, I don't know why, it just reminded me of light reflecting off of crystals. So I called it Crystal Bean Vista. Where I got the bean, I don't know. Maybe Mr. Bean, who knows. But anyways, I guess, and that probably was it actually, because I used to watch Mr. Bean's Holiday when I was a kid quite a bit. I think I was like 10 or 11 when that movie came out. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, and Vista RTM's background wallpaper during the install is different from Windows Vista Service Pack 1 and later discs install. So, anyways, you've heard me ramble on long enough. I need to eat my dinner, so let me eat my dinner. I will come back when we're in the out-of-box experience. I gotta say, for an HDD, that was the fastest Vista installation I've ever seen. Anyways, we're in the out-of-box experience, so I know that one thing people have complained about is my arm getting in the way when I'm trying to type, so let me try to make this as streamlined as possible. So I'll type in my name. Can't type as fast when I'm at an angle like this. I think I'll leave the password blank. We can choose a picture. We've got the flower, the robot, the goldfish, The tree, sports, oh yeah, what are those? I was never athletic. My favorite, the dog, chess, and of course the cat. Fun fact about me, my Microsoft account picture is this picture right here, because when I created my Microsoft account, at least back then, it was called a Windows Live account. Yeah, I remember that. It just goes to show how old I am. I was using Windows. I had just upgraded to Windows Vista. It was December of 2006. I just upgraded my Dell Dimension 4600C to Windows Vista, and I used this picture as my profile picture when I installed the operating system. So this became my Microsoft account picture. Fun fact. So you know what? As a tribute to that, you know what? Why the hell not? Let's do it. Ben Kleinberg PC. Let's call this XPS M1210-PC. Keep it simple. Oops, didn't want to put an underscore there. Dash PC. There. Put a hyphen instead. I don't think you can use an underscore in a PC name. Ask me later, because Windows Update doesn't work anymore in Vista. We are in the Eastern time zone. Time and date are correct. Next, and thank you. Yep. But wait, there's more. There's always more. You know why? Let me zoom the camera out really quickly here. Because, unlike any other edition of Windows, in Vista, when you complete the out-of-box experience and you've created your profile and set the time zone and all that jazz, guess what's next? Zoom the camera in a little bit. There's me. Hello. Come on, Windows. Don't leave me hanging. Any year now. Of course, this is just after I say that was the fastest Vista installation I've ever done. All my long-term subscribers, there we go, yeah, I was going to say all my long-term subscribers know about this, and anyone who's known Windows since they were 5, like me. But anyways, so now Windows is checking the computer's performance. So this basically is running the Windows Experience Index to see whether this computer can run the Aero interface. And it should be able to, because this computer has an Intel GMA 945 GPU. I thought it was the NVIDIA one, but I'm okay with it being the Intel one. But basically, this is now checking to see whether this computer meets the Windows Aero requirements. Now, while Windows checks the computer's performance and determines whether we can run Aero or not, let me explain Vista's system requirements in comparison to Windows XP. You see, XP required a 233 MHz Pentium MMX processor, 64 megabytes of RAM minimum, recommended was 128, and the CPU recommended CPU I think was a 300 megahertz Pentium 2. As far as disk space, this is where it differs. This is one area where XP's requirements differ from Vista's. XP only required 1.5 gigabytes for RTM, and with the service packs, you're looking at about 3 or 4 gigabytes of hard disk space. And it only required a Super VGA compatible video card. On the other hand, Vista required at least an 800 megahertz Pentium 3 or newer CPU. That's quite a jump from a 233 megahertz Pentium. Recommended was a 1 gigahertz Pentium 4 or better. You needed 512 megabytes of RAM minimum to run Vista. Not recommended. Recommended was 1 gigabyte, which is what this computer has. But 512 megs minimum to run the OS. Hard disk space. You had to have at least 15 gigabytes for 32-bit versions of Windows Vista and 20 gigabytes minimum for 64-bit versions. That's quite a jump when even XP's 64-bit edition only required, I think, 6 gigabytes of disk space. So when you compare that to what Vista required, that's quite a jump. The video card was the other thing. In order to run Windows Aero, you had to have a video card that had at least 128 megabytes of VRAM. It had to support DirectX 9. it had to support Pixel Shader 2.0, and it had to support WDDM 1.0, which I believe stands for Windows Display Driver Model. I think that's what WDDM stands for, but yeah, you had to have that, a video card that supported all that. Back in 2006, the majority of the video cards you could buy for your desktop didn't support any of that, or it didn't support everything you needed to run Aero. And so many computers could not run Aero with all the fancy new features that Microsoft was advertising. And on top of that, if you had a laptop where you basically were SOL as far as upgrading your GPU, and you wanted Aero, you had no choice but to buy a new laptop. You had no choice but to buy a new laptop. So, because pretty much I don't know of a laptop to this day where you could upgrade the video card so it would be compatible to run Windows Vista's Aero interface. So, yeah, that was one of the major reasons people were pissed off, was because of the insane requirements that you needed to have, the insane requirements that Vista carried. Hell, the OQO Model 02, which there's an LGR video, I'll recommend that. But the OQO Model 02, Bill Gates himself said it could run Windows Vista, but guess what? Not with full graphical effects. And there we go, we've got Aero. So I figured we would, because the Intel GMA 945 does support everything you need to run Windows Aero. So there you go. We've got Aero. Yay. All right, we are at the desktop. So now let's do one more thing, because I do have to wrap this video up, because I don't really have much more time tonight. I have to do some homework tonight for one of my online IT classes. Yes, I am going back to school to finish my associate's degree in IT. But yeah, there you go. You've got Aero. I inadvertently, let me see if the right-click button. Yeah, right-click works too. Okay, good, because I wasn't able to test that during the in the OOBE. But there we go. Windows Vista. Take a look at our specs. So I'll maximize this. We have a 3.0 Windows Experience Index. Not too shabby. So we've got a Core Duo, T2300, 1.66 gigahertz, gigabyte of RAM, 32-bit OS. I probably will put a 64-bit OS on here when I upgrade to a Core 2 chip, although I believe to do that, I have to upgrade the BIOS update the BIOS first, because the current BIOS is from June of 2006. The Core 2 Duo didn't launch until September of 2006. And I believe Dell says on their website that to do the Core 2 upgrade, you have to upgrade to BIOS revision A04 or later. I believe the latest BIOS for this computer is A06. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I believe that is what you need in order to do the Core 2 Duo upgrade. So let's activate Windows, and I'll show you how to force phone activation, because like Windows XP, Windows Vista no longer supports internet activation. The servers are gone. And the media buttons are working. That's nice. Anyways, so to do that, we go to the Start menu, we go to the Search, we type in slui.exe/4. And it's going to tell us that the product key can't be used for activation, but that's okay, because we can say use the automated phone system like this, say yes at the UAC prompt, and now we can give them a call and activate Windows by phone. So we're going to select the US of A, and we will give them a call. And yes, I will record this, because, you don't get to hear this. So let's call that number. So 1-866-740-1256. Here we go.
Welcome to Microsoft Product Activation Center.
Para continuar en español, oprima 2. Pour continuer en français, appuyez sur le 3.
To help us improve the quality of our products, services, and training, this call may be recorded or monitored, and information collected on this call may be accessed by Microsoft affiliates, subsidiaries, and service providers internationally. To consent to recording or monitoring of this call, press 1. Or to continue without recording or monitoring, press 2. Thank you. This call will not be recorded or monitored. For security purposes, please enter the following number on your phone's touchtone pad. 2 4 2. Thank you. Welcome to Microsoft Product Activation. Now, which kind of product would you like to activate? Please say Windows, Office, or say it's something else.
Windows.
Okay, Windows. Are you at your computer with the activation screen open? Please say yes or no.
Yes.
To reduce your effort, we can activate your product using your smartphone's display instead of our audio self-help system. To get started, I'll need to send a text message to your smartphone. Carrier text and data rates may apply. First, are you calling from a smartphone?
Yes.
Good. Should I send you that text message?
Yes.
Great. I've sent you a
Okay. And now I like to activate Windows like this because trying to use the automated telephone system is a pain. So here's how you can do it. Let me move my phone up to the camera really quickly here, and you can see this is what the activation website looks like on a smartphone. So we have, it looks like 6 digits, so we're going to say 6, and I'll go ahead and type this in. I know some people show the confirmation ID on screen, but you actually can use that to reactivate Windows if you need to without having to call them. So for that reason, I will not be showing the confirmation ID that I get, if I even get one. I mean, I may have to change my key here. I don't know if this key is blacklisted or not, but we'll see. 956165. So the installation ID is fine. It just I do have to edit out the part of me putting in the confirmation ID because the like I said, that can be used to activate on well, not another computer, but it can be used to activate Windows again, and it could get the key blacklisted. And I kind of want to save these keys. Oh, you know what I just realized? Do you know what I just realized? This key is probably blacklisted because I think, and I could be wrong, but I believe I used this key, I believe I gave this key away in a video. I'll be honest, I think I did. But let's see. It's probably blacklisted, but let's see. No way! No way! Dude! I got a confirmation ID, it's not blacklisted? Shoot, son. Alright, well let me put this in and I'll be right back. Well, I'm amazed. That key actually worked. We are now successfully activated. So yeah, if you're wondering if you can still activate Windows Vista after its end of life, there you go. We're activated. Right there. Alright. But now, I forgot that I made this promise. Let's test the battery. Pulling the AC adapter now, so we're on battery power now. Let's see how long, I mean, if it'll last at all. But I just unhooked it. Let's see if we can connect to my Wi-Fi network. I hope it can connect. I do know that with Intel wireless cards, for some bizarre reason, the driver that Windows uses doesn't work correctly. Yeah, I'm not even seeing my network here, and I know this is a common issue with these Dell laptops. Does the scroll phone? No, I didn't think so, because we don't have the driver installed yet. Yeah, I do not see my network in here. Which probably means that it doesn't support it. So here's what we'll do in this case. We will connect it to my hotspot. This is another problem I have with Dell laptops sometimes, is it doesn't connect to my, it doesn't detect my wireless network. See, like I have Xfinity and all that in Fios, but I do not see my network. So I'm going to have to tether to my phone. Let's see. Cannot connect. Please choose another network. Yeah, this is a common issue with Windows Vista, or not Windows Vista, but these Intel wireless cards. It doesn't. You have to update the driver before it'll connect. So let me plug this into Ethernet. We'll continue the video later, but for now, that's all I wanted to do. Anyways, ciao for now. So because my camera battery failed to charge properly, and I only have, and it's already telling me the battery's low because it failed to charge properly, all the more reason to get a new camera, hint, hint. We're gonna go ahead and show the final product here with the Dell XPS M1210. Now, I already showed installing Windows Vista on here, and I think where we left off, because it's been almost a month since the last video clip was recorded at this stage in the game. It's now May 15th. But basically, I got all the drivers installed. It's already telling me my battery's low because the god dang charger failed to charge the battery correctly. So now I have to make this quick, but as you can tell, I'm sort of pissed because, you know, stuff like this just pisses me off. I'm from Jersey. We don't keep calm. Anyways, so hopefully I can at least get this thing to boot up. I'll go into the system properties, I'll shut down, and by then it'll probably keep telling me my battery is critical and I need to charge my battery or some BS like that. Still pisses me off that the damn battery charger failed to charge the battery. I know what you're going to tell me in the comments below. I need a new camera battery. No, not just a new battery. I need a new camera. I've had this camera now for 9 years. And I thought back then, when I first bought it, when I was a sophomore in high school and had to buy this camera for my Spanish project, which maybe I will upload that video one day. I honestly don't know. Probably could be a little too personal, but who knows. But in any case, I need a new camera because this camera, look, it's already telling me critical battery, turn the power off. Oh my god. This pisses me off. As you can probably, the good news is nothing's going, and you know, at work, you know, whatever. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, but, you know, there's some things at work, and also another reason I'm a little PO'd right now is because, for one thing, there we go, the camera finally focused, Vista Home Premium, 3.0 WEI, Intel Core Duo, gigabyte of RAM. I think you guys have seen enough. But another reason I'm sort of pissed off, and I'll end this now because of course my stupid camera is telling me the battery is critically low and needs to be charged. But basically, while we shut the computer down, another reason I'm PO'd and why you might find me making Aliyah one day is not just because I'm Jewish, but because yet another shooting took place today in Buffalo. I just saw it on my phone right before I started recording this video. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sound like a traitor to the U.S. here, but my God, we really, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm offending people by saying this, but haven't we, you know, what is it with all the gun violence in this country, you know? So, anyways, whatever, I mean, whatever, it's just, the camera's about to shut off, so, anyways, bye for now, see you in the next one, I think you'll enjoy the next video, peace out.